水孔冒冒。
It's 2 or 2:30? 2 or 2:30? 2:30 if this is going to
Start?
Yeah.
Start maybe 2.
2?
2 o'clock.
Oh, cool.
2:00.
2's even better.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't. Sounds good. Sound.
There's nothing there right now.
Can we come over so we get some of the light too?
Thank you so much.
To be honest, it's pretty tight up there, but
You're gonna have to come up either in order or
Can you go?
During the
Yeah, no problem.
all good. Yeah, you can come here if you want.
just cross. You know, if I cross under,
Yeah,
if I
you
duck
can be
under.
alright. Duck a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
yeah, we're in New York a couple days ago.
Yep,
It's mine.
Mike.
Yeah.
Mike.
What was it for?
Mike. Mike level out.
Mine. There you go. test earlier and it worked.
Right. Hello. Okay, great. Hi, I'm Nicosia, president of Enhanced Games, and on my call, I'm Mike Oates, our director of communication. You might introduce.
Yeah. Hi everyone, welcome to the press conference. Hopefully giving you a lot already, but today's the opportunity. This isn't being live streamed out of this room. I just wanted to give you the chance to question, probe some of the key characters today. I think they should all be self-explanatory, but we've got 3 athletes here. We've got Barbakh coach, we've got a couple of world records on stage. We've got Professor Guido Calles, who is the chair of our independent medical and scientific commission. So we should have everything covered on stage. We've only got, sorry, hi, is this thing on? We've got just over an hour left. So if you've got any follow-up questions or so on after for any of the team, we might have to take you out of this room because we're being kicked out at some point. But anyway, I'm just going to hand over to Aaron now, and I think we might have some questions already. I think maybe. Yes, please. Thank you, Wyatt.
Thank you, Wyatt Magazine. Hey everyone, I'm from Wyatt Magazine. Obviously, the news has been out for so the news about the record has been out for about an hour and 20 minutes. I'm just interested in the responses that you guys have had from fans or from friends and family to the news about the record, particularly for the youth question. And we have very obviously having as a enhanced athlete. Question movie stuff.
Yeah, honestly, I did not check my phone yet, but I'll check soon. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we did it together with you, so of course some supporters are excited and really excited to see the human potential. We also have people who think stereotypically and already criticizing why do you give up your legacy. I don't give up anything because I prove everything to the whole world. Now I just want to expand the potential of this humanity.
Hi, Daniel from Limassol, Germany. This is a question for Brett. Ciello's record had stood for 15 years. Do you believe that without enhancements, that record would have stayed possibly forever?
Certainly not forever. I've tried to break it a few times with other athletes. But I think the circumstances were just right. And Aaron and everyone at Enhanced gave us an opportunity, and we took it. And we just had the best athletes with the right circumstances and the right protocols, and we finally got it. But look, to Ciello's credit, it's a fantastic record. It has stood the test of time. So it was, as you've seen in the documentary, very, very difficult to get in the process. So extremely proud of Christian for ultimately taking it down.
So, Australian Associated Press, can we just get an overview of the significance in your mind of today's launch? I guess the picture of the world sport.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary moment personally because less than 2 years ago, I drew this logo on a cocktail napkin in a bar in Miami, and now we're here today, sitting on stage with multiple world record holders, ushering in the start of what I believe will be viewed as the next age of mankind, an age of superhumanity, an age of advancement, where 3 of humanity's most important endeavors, science, medicine, and sport, have now merged together. And this is going to be a very important juncture in human history, the history of sport, and the history of science. And I think it's actually very hard for us to anticipate what the impact of this will be, because so many technological and scientific advancements have been held back by an old rule set, and now they are unleashed and opened up. And I think we'll be here in 50 years' time looking back and saying, wow, it was at this day where we unlocked superhumanity, new research was unveiled. I was just talking with the president of one of the local universities here about the potential of scientific research. And we're going to cure amazing diseases. We're going to find amazing treatments. We're going to extend human performance and human life because of the work done by people on this this stage in this wider community.
Thomas Fishman from site. Another question, do you disclose the complete list of substances that you give the athletes, and what's doing the background? Haven't you tried out yet, or what might be next?
Well, that's a great question. So from a policy perspective, athletes need to disclose their protocols to us as the medical committee, or I should say Keto and his colleagues on the medical committee. However, everyone is also entitled to their medical privacy, and so they don't necessarily have to go out and talk publicly about what they're using. And I think it's actually, a journalist asks me all the time, I don't speak for the others on stage, they say, oh, are you enhanced? Have you used some enhanced before? And when they say, why, what have you used? I say, well, I don't want to disclose myself because I don't want people to copy me. I don't want to become a social media influencer a la Brian Johnson, who's a great friend of the project. And that's why today we launched the Enhanced Performance Products Division. So that if you're interested in using performance medicine, you shouldn't copy Karen D'Souza or Christian or James or Andre, right? You should actually go and talk to a doctor and get a personalized protocol to your needs, right? And you can go on to enhance.com and sign up for that service now. And I think that's the best goal, rather than saying, because he's 6'7", so 6'7", right? 31 years old. I'm not 6'7", and 40 years old. What we need to enhance our performance is different, and medical advice is core and central to that.
Can you guys provide any update on the clinical trial and where that stands in getting approval and how that process works?
Yeah, Peter, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, of course, because it's very important, which I think is the chair of the medical commission. Really, as you would have seen, this hinges really on the science behind it, and I'm grateful and glad that Enhanced really is committed to this, because make no mistake, this is a very difficult study. You run many studies, many trials. You normally test one drug, you have one outcome parameter, be it heart failure. Here, we're really testing the safety of various compounds, of various combination of compounds to optimize performance and test the safety of your heart, of your brain, of your intestinal system, of your hormonal system. So it's also a study that costs a lot of money. And
because it does cost a lot of money, and it's something that we're very proud to invest in to ensure that we have the highest quality peer-reviewed science backing us up.
Exactly. So how are we going to go about it? Yes, we will have a study that is IRB approved, institutional review board, so ethically approved, highest level for national and international studies. So we have, over the next couple of weeks, maybe a bit more, we will hopefully have this approval in our hands, which means this study will adhere to the strictest national and international criteria how we conduct research study. And beyond this, we have even put in more safety stocks, not because we, and I think this is extremely dangerous and difficult, but as you will clearly know, there's a need for safety measures and for results to finally answer this question, which is discussed a lot really in an emotional way. Is a danger to heart health, to brain health. So we will address this. So in 6 weeks' time, hopefully, I'm looking to Dan, he's the chief of science. So we will have this. And this will allow us really to study these components within the framework of a research study.
And I would actually add that on a scientific basis. That a lot of people don't know this fact, but the 1939 Nobel Prize was actually awarded for the synthesis of testosterone. And so the science that we are talking about in terms of human performance, whether it be synthetic growth hormones like testosterone, EPO, or anabolic steroids, are very tried and tested compounds. Testosterone is used by 2.5% of American men. Anabolic steroids is being used at some point or another by 6% of American men. And so the drug-on-drug interactions, the toxicologies are all very well known. It's documented in peer-reviewed literature. So it may sound very scientifically innovative what we're doing, but I actually don't think it is. That these compounds can be used by individuals and by athletes for a very long period of time. And and now we have the opportunity to study in a robust manner.
Question for James, who might hear. You looked passive in the document.
Thank you.
I'll try to tell you, but what was your experience like, and how much of this is trial and error in figuring out what is right, especially for your specific sports and athletes?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that you would have noticed, I didn't get a chance to watch the documentary, unfortunately, I was up here doing some interviews, but you've got two very different products between myself and Christian. There were similarities between our protocols, there were some differences. We had our own medical teams, both overseen by the team at Enhanced, and we had two very different reactions to those protocols. It turns out that I am what you call a hyper-responder to protocol, and at times I think there was a point in my preparation where it was like, okay, do we go a 50 freestyle world record or Mr. Olympia? Which way are we going? But for me personally, I learned so much through that journey. I understand now what I need to do for my next preparation for the actual games, which is essentially the Holy Grail. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. The first little clip of that documentary I saw, I was looking at my arms going, damn, I need to get those things back over there. That was a lot of fun. But you know, the biggest benefit for me, beyond the appearance stuff, that was really a side part. I was waking up each day with an enthusiasm to train, to compete. I felt so healthy, so motivated, and honestly, I think I said it in the doco, but like I said, I haven't seen it. It's honestly the happiest I've been in 7 years. Forget about the protocols, forget about the world record, all of that stuff. As a mature age, now athlete again, I was just so happy to be back, to be training, to be working with world-class professionals, and to have a chance to compete again.
Hi, Sandy, a question for Eric. You said that this was going to hopefully usher in an era of super league, I think was the words that you used. Does that mean that this is something that you imagine spreading into like the rest of the sports world in the future?
Yeah, so the psychology of elite sport is really interesting from a viewer perspective. So effectively, no one watches minor league ball, and everyone wants to watch Major League Baseball. The viewership numbers of the XFL will never reach that of the NFL. Effectively, no one watches Formula 2, but everyone watches Formula 1. Why? Because I think there's something very deeply hardwired in our brains on a biological level to want to see the very best of human performance. Like, we know that Mount Everest is the tallest mountain. We know that Edmund Hillary was the first to climb it. Like, what's the second tallest mountain in the world? Who was the second person to climb Everest? Right? These are facts that don't even register in our mind as even being important. And so the fact that Christians said the most important world record is swimming, the unequivocal world record, because it's sort of like what children want to do in the pool. You jump in and you say, how fast can you swim to the other side? 1 lap matters, right? And that, I believe, will go down in history as the moment where Enhanced Games has now become the preeminent human competition. And there's only a few more records that actually enter the cultural zeitgeist: the 100-meter, the mile, the marathon, and as a consequence, I believe we are now a preeminent sporting competition. And from 1896 until 1992, amateurism was the moral touchstone of Olympic sport. If you were a professional, you were somehow cheating, you were undermining the spirit of sport, and you were banned. And that's what they did for nearly 100 years. But then they realized by the 90s that actually professionals are a lot more interesting and faster and better than amateurs. And amateur sport effectively doesn't exist anymore. And I think the same is going to happen. All sport will be eventually enhanced.
Good afternoon. I'm Rich Barbakh from Vegas Sports Today. First of all, congratulations to everyone on the Enhanced team. I'm curious to know what traditional athletes, both past and present, what are their feelings? Has there been any feedback from the traditional community? Are they supportive of Enhanced, or is it negativity? Curious to know what the feelings are from, again, past and present athletes.
Yeah, I think I'll jump in. As the first athlete back in February last year, I've had many conversations with past and present athletes. The two most common answers I get from past athletes, I wish I'd stayed in shape so I could embark on something like this myself. I think it's an amazing opportunity. The response I get from current athletes, I'm going to sit back and watch this first games with interest because I think this could be a really feasible option for me in the future. I think as athletes we have a greater risk appetite than the general population, and we see it in an event like the Enhanced Games as an opportunity. There's less fear or trepidation from us as athletes. So that was the only real opinions that I was worried about when I signed on. What will other athletes think? And it's been overwhelmingly positive.
So there's a possibility that Michael Phelps and Rock Spitz may come out of retirement.
Mark Spitz might be a bit longer than two. Michael Phelps, we're watching.
Yeah. Well, I think, actually, I might turn this over to Robert, because I think we've thought about this a lot, but there's a reason there are 3 swimmers sitting on the stage here. And swimming, I consider to be one of only 2 fundamental human sports. Running and swimming, they're actually not even fundamental human sports, like they're fundamental sports of all mammals, like dogs and horses race each other, right? And so, why is it that swimmers are up here? And I think the economic dimension of what we're doing, I'm so proud to have handed this guy $1 million check, right? The economics of swimming aren't very good. Maybe you want to touch on that.
Of course. So to represent myself, I'm on the world, and I'm actually representing additional sports here because I'm owning the world record in FPV Barbakh right now. Nobody did it. So just on matter of fact, the swimmers economically never get fully supported from any institutions. Usually what we do is spend all life to sacrifice many things, discipline, family time, health, for a chance. And most of the time, for most of the athletes, chance never comes. And then you end up with what? Just the experience of many countries, many people you've met, and good friendship. And then you need to live life, and you cannot use this experience in any other dimensions other than coaching. And different countries have different conditions. What I see now is potentially that we are from amateurs that's training more professionally than maybe any other sports could actually get well paid and well supported. This is one of the main reasons, and I have many behind, and it's like 30-40 minutes tall. But this is the essentials, what's happening right now. Respect the athlete and what they do and what they sacrifice in life.
Can I just ask a quick question to you about the reaction to the announcement that you've become Enhanced Games head coach back home in Australia? How's it been? A bit of a whirlwind. And then also, secondly, where is the ceiling? What sort of time do you think will be possible in a year for either Christian or James? Or
Well, let me answer the second question first, because I'm now surrounded by people who think beyond what most people think. Now, Aaron D'Souza is somebody that's a visionary in my world, because he is putting us in a position where we can look beyond the norms. You know, as an athlete, you're stuck in kind of, here's where you can max out. I don't know what the max is now. You know, we don't know where it is, and this is such an exciting time for us. So in terms of the response back home, I haven't told anybody. I've been sitting on this since February. I haven't slept in 5 days either, so I am on edge. But in the sense that I'm just so glad the world can see the work that these guys have been doing, and the Enhanced team. I mean, there's a whole team of people behind us that have put us in a position to be able to do this, and I'm so thankful for them. Like Mike over there is just a world-class leader in what he's done and doing, and I'm just so thankful for people like that who are kind of unsung in this. You know, Christian and James not take all the glory here, but a lot of good people behind the scenes, and it's just so invigorating to be with a team of people that have that type of belief. They see the future, and it's 10 years ahead of everybody else. So, look, we don't pay attention, we've never really paid attention to detractors, people that want to take away from us. We surround ourselves with people that inspire us, that believe in the same things we believe in. And that's why I'm so proud to be a part of this team.
Someone's going 19 seconds within a couple of years, for sure. Butterfly.
Down the road, there's a question for Dr. D'Souza. Can we expect more world record attempts in the next year leading up to the first games in both swimming and track, potentially weightlifting?
I think we're going to save the basketball records for the games themselves, but after the first games, we're going to build out a global circuit. One of the issues of Olympic competition is that there aren't enough opportunities for athletes to build their fame and to monetize. And so, why don't Olympians get paid in the same way that, say, basketball or baseball players do? Because basketball players play multiple times a week. And, Formula 1 is like more than 20 events in the season now. And so by creating more events and more opportunities to monetize across different jurisdictions, will allow our athletes to build more fame. And what I want is, be looking back in a few years and say, $1 million for a world record, that was cheap, right? Because, we want our athletes to be paid well, we want to earn millions and be rewarded for success. These are the finest specimens of the human species. They're doing something that, literally, billions of people have tried to swim a lap of the pool. Right? Millions of people have competed in a organized fashion in swimming. And they've spent billions of hours training to do something that Christian has done better than anyone in that's talented in history. And that deserves to be rewarded in an extremely substantial way.
Constantine Asimov, so Dr. D'Souza, in your opening remarks, you alluded to some media disruption and innovation there as well. That the games will be broadcast and available for consumption in new ways. Can you speak about that a bit? Where can fans tune in? What should we keep an eye out for?
Yeah, so many people don't realize it, but in the press release went out today, it included a Dropbox of all of our content. So the footage from the world record, the documentary, everything, it's all rights free. Right? It's the Creative Commons license, so that anyone, the content creator economy can use it, they can cut it, and that is the exact opposite of what traditional sports federations do. If you go to the Olympics will say, the very strict media rights, only the registered broadcasters pay billions of dollars for those rights to broadcast it, and that content is locked up. Because we monetize not by some media rights and corporate sponsorships, but through our performance products business, we want our content to go as wide as possible. Every decision that we've made is foremost been made on a scientific basis, and number two, been made on a basis of distribution in this modern era. I'm not interested in television contracts in the same way that most sports executives are, because television is a dying business. Right? We live in a content creator economy. Someone in this room is probably going to post a TikTok that will get more distribution than traditional media outlets. Right? And the world is changing, and I don't believe incumbent sports federations and governing bodies have adjusted to that. And that's a new distribution model that we're bringing to life.
Sorry, Aaron. Just logistically, building a pool track here, how does that play? How did that plan come about? The reduced size, the lanes and whatever, and can it be done in such a short period of time to actually construct the facilities?
Oh yes, the one thing about Las Vegas, and we haven't spoken to the details of the host city. Right? Vegas is a place where you can build, right? And there is a culture of building here that you do not see in most major cities. I couldn't imagine trying to build a pool or a track in New York or Melbourne within a year. But the beauty, and we didn't touch on this during the main event, it's the beauty of this venue is that there are 3,500 hotel rooms. There's 250,000 square feet of conferencing space. There is 86 acres of land, and you never need to get into a car or bus. You literally walk, air-conditioned comfort, to everything. And that's what, from a logistical perspective, will make this completely different from other major events. Right? Come to a press conference, go downstairs and watch the track and field, go to the nightclub and have a drink, go to your room and have a nap, and go back out and see all the competition without ever having any logistical or transportation concerns. And that compact physical footprint changes the dynamics of the viewing experience in such a dramatic way that I don't think that we're
Biohacking tends to be very male-dominated interest. I was wondering what was the appetite of female athletes to sign up for the enhanced game. Can we expect female athletes?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think in terms of risk appetite, I give James a lot of credit, right? As an individual who, I don't know, heard me on a podcast or something, and then he didn't even reach out, just declare that he was going to compete in enhanced games, right? And make that leap without a contract or any negotiations or anything, and we basically negotiated this fine. I think for a lot of athletes in general, it has been viewed as, is this actually real? Right? And I think every athlete in the world tomorrow is going to wake up and call their sports federation and say, where's my $1 million? And now that it's very real and very tangible, I think it's going to be easier for athletes across the gender spectrum, across the economic spectrum, across the nationality spectrum, to sign up for the games. And my phone has been buzzing nonstop, as you might expect. But it's nice to see that already there's half a dozen athletes who have reached out to us on our website, who are Olympians and medalists and champions who want to come and compete, right? And that's the magic of the world of social media. The enhanced games can only have ever been built in this area. So there's this new technology that allows communities to be built on a global scale.
Right, I was wondering if you could speak to what it's like to coach enhanced athletes, and if that warrants a different approach than coaching a traditional athlete.
Yeah, it's evolved. I think when I first started with James, it was like, all right, buddy, what are we doing? And, there was no playbook. Nobody handed us a playbook to say, here's what you do in swimming. So I personally just did my own research. I listened to podcasts. I was listening to the same podcast that James listened to. I didn't make the declaration at the time, but internally I did. I thought, I want to be part of that. But just did research, and then as we went, I got a chance to talk to the incredible staff and medical team at Enhanced, and just started to learn and educate myself. Look, it was a learning experience for me especially. I'd never really looked into this before. I'd never paid attention to it, but it really sparked my interest, and so the deeper I got into it, the more I realized this is incredible. Fascinating. And so initially I thought, wow, we can take a full second off. I just thought we're going to take these enhancements and we're going to take a full second off. And quite quickly I realized that it's not that simple either. But I think in learning the way James reacted, it certainly helped me work with Christian a little bit. So I learned there and made some adjustments there. But we certainly were making adjustments as we went along. And I feel better for the experience. I know for a fact James would swim much faster the second time around, and I'm sure Christian would say the same. So I think ultimately we're all going to be better for just jumping in and doing this and learning. And I'm excited to kind of go through the protocol again.
Melanie from Germany. I have a question for the next 12 months. So the games are in 12 months from now. How does the training look different to natural, if this is the correct, to natural athletes in the next coming months? And maybe Professor Peters could also answer to this. But
in terms of athlete training, I might defer to Brett on that. I'm a sports bureaucrat and most happy in a spreadsheet. So I could talk about the economics of sport all day long, but in terms of training, maybe Brett, you want to outline?
What I learned is that the recovery rates are much faster. So generally, what did you call the athlete? A natural athlete. Okay. Yes, a natural athlete would take somewhere between 24 to 48 hours to recover from a very intense workout. James was recovering much faster than that, so we made adjustments to kind of come back every day and go again. What I learned over time was that physically you do recover, but there's nothing really that I've experienced that helps with the neurological recovery. You know, sometimes it's almost like waking up from drinking coffee every day, and then you skip your coffee that morning. You get a little bit of a brain fog. And so I think when you work hard and very intensely, that can take time to recover. So we had to make adjustments with that knowledge of like, hey, the nervous system is taking a little bit longer than the muscles, right? So I think it was just exciting to see these athletes being able to recover faster, but over time it certainly does have a cumulative effect. So that's where the learning was. It's just like, how do you manage this appropriately? So I think we certainly learned a lot, and I'm excited to take those learnings and go again in this. And in my research of protocols, I've learned that the second time around is generally better than the first time anyway. So that's what excites me as well.
Yes, from a medical point of view, so the athletes will sign into this research study. This in itself is quite something really novel, because we're running a high-level research study beside athletes training for a competition, and we integrate this. Because these athletes are part of a research study, but they're by no means guinea pigs. They are here to compete, and they are talented and individuals who want to concentrate on what they're doing. But of course, we will go through a rigorous testing program, which I can say this for a fact is better compared to what's being done in other organizations. Some do better, some do worse, but the medical profiling will be second to none. They will have monthly blood tests and give you in a better position than Brad. We do know what we need to look for. We are not learning as we're going along. So they will have blood tests, they will have initial investigations for eligibility, which will look at the heart, the brain, hormone balances, and then not only this until the games and until the research protocol 6 months, so they will be comprehensively monitored. The big question is, what do these enhancements do to our long-term health? And again, this study, and this is really the first one that does it properly, prospectively, we will follow up these athletes 5 years with annual scans, blood tests, also psychological performance questionnaires. So it's a really comprehensive study after many studies from athletes work with international organizations, but the depth of phenotyping, as we would call it, is really, really something I'm looking forward to, which will give us a lot of novel knowledge. And then, if I can say this as well, we touched it, what is next? Well, next is maybe as 19-second athletes, but for me as a doctor, next is really how can we translate this knowledge we have from these incredibly talented and genetically very gifted individuals to you and me, our society. So we used to talk about lifespan and health span. I think this program is really about activity span, because we will get a lot of novel knowledge how we can stay active longer in life. Now this is maybe a bit blue sky thinking, but I hope we can achieve this over the next 5-10 years.
Oh, absolutely. I think that we are on the cusp of a multi-trillion-dollar new industry, because right now we view medicine as something which sick people use to hopefully get better, not something that is about ordinary people becoming extraordinary or the best version of themselves they can be. And effectively, and there's good sort of economic game theory analysis of this, is that all the excess profits of capitalism or a nation will go to healthcare. Because, well, at the end of the day, you can't take your money with you, right? And so individuals are highly incented to spend to improve their healthcare over the course of their life, particularly towards the end of their life. And as a consequence of that, I believe that the market for performance medicine products is gigantic, and it's proven by things like Ozempic and the GLP-1 drug, which are about $1 trillion, the market capitalization of Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. And so ultimately, that's one enhancement product. Right? We're talking about a whole suite, a whole industry of enhancement products that have now been brought to light that can be proven not in 100 years, but in 20 seconds. Supervised, absolutely. And clinical supervision is absolutely essential to this. Like, there have been untested sports federations before, in bodybuilding, powerlifting, and jiu-jitsu, but ultimately, they have never brought the rigorous scientific analysis together. Right? There are 4 doctorates on this table between 2 of us. He's got 3 of them. And it's this has been absolutely core to what we've done from the very outset, because what we are here to do is not create an entertainment product. We are here to create a scientific product, one that increases human longevity, increases human activity, and is going to be a very, very powerful long-term driver of the improvement of our society.
George with Reuters. This question is for Aaron. First of all, congratulations to everybody on stage, and especially the competitors here, the new signed athletes. My question is, Aaron, we spoke yesterday. I just wanted to ask about, we have these accomplished athletes on stage. Can you give us a hint of what other additions to the team we can expect in the future?
Oh, well, obviously the three core sports of the Enhanced Games are track, swimming, and strength. And we've had strong interest in all three sectors. Obviously we focus on swimming because we've got the best swimming coach in the entire world here. We have the multiple world records on stage, so maybe we've got as many world records as we have doctorates on stage. That's probably a good measure of future press conferences. And ultimately, you know, my goal is, as an organization, is that we need to break the 100-meter mile marathon record. I think those are the three crucial records that are deep in the cultural zeitgeist. You know, 9.5 seconds in the 100, sub 4 minutes in the mile, sub 2 hours in the marathon. And this is something that has had huge participation. But again, the economics of track and field are pathetic compared to most sports. And I think we have the ability to fix that here at the Enhanced Games. Maybe this is probably should be a last question, Mike, since we need to wrap up. Yeah.
I guess on that note, question for Christian. Christian, how's your life changed? I mean, we got a big check a couple months ago. And Andre, how do you expect your life to change?
Yeah, Christian, you never told me we were going to spend $1 million.
Initially I wanted to buy a GTR, but doesn't like GTR after I make the second bit. Yeah, I think my life definitely is going to change. I'm going to invest a lot of money, and yeah, I think that's going to be great for me and my family. You know, we have a more comfortable life, and I can buy a house, I can invest money, so I have a better future. And when I'm done swimming, you know, start stressing about what's next and how I'm going to make money and provide. So yes. For me, I'm just announced an hour ago. So actually, the changes starts today. So the time is now, and I believe that it's going to be an extraordinary experience. Doesn't matter what's next. What matters is taking the piece of the history, of the human history. This is a privilege, and that's why I'm here.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for coming to join us on this momentous day. It's been, it is the privilege of my life to steward the enhanced movement and the enhanced age and the existence. If any Germans want to speak one-on-one, I'm happy to use sometime this afternoon. So thank you very much. And I also want to specifically acknowledge Mike Oates, who has been with us since day one, who has helped put all this together. You know, we wouldn't be here without him. So round of applause, Mike.
Thanks everyone. Yeah, I think we have the room for maybe 30 minutes if you wanted to grab anyone or make your way out. The full asset list we mentioned with videos and photos, if you haven't accessed that already, then it's linked to the press release that went out today, or I can send you a link. And out of interest, we were talking about facilities from up here. If you look out of the window over there, you look down on the side, you can see where the big white tents are. There's a big open space there. That's where the games will happen next year. That's where we're constructing the pool and the track and the strength facility. So it's a good view idea if you're interested. We'll give you a tour. Okay, so thank you everybody, and thanks to our interviewees today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you everyone.
Finish, yeah?
Hold on.
Yeah.
So we can get a little bit of B-roll.
Yeah.